to call the meeting to order, or?
It's a public hearing.
So, okay.
You just kick it off.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I welcome you to the Carroll County Public Schools Capital Improvement Program public hearing. Each year, the Board of Education reviews the CIP and the associated requests, reviews those at a meeting in September, has a public hearing to take public input, and then looks at approving that capital improvement program in October. So we are at the point where we have reviewed that at our September meeting. We are now going to have a very brief overview from Mr. Kane. We are taking both written feedback as well as any in-person public comment this evening for this public hearing. And so when Mr. Kane is finished, we'll see if we have anybody who's here to present in person. And this is not a board meeting where there's discussion or continued conversation around the CIP. It's just a public hearing. We will do that at our October meeting coming up. So with that, all board members are present to listen to the presentation and hear any feedback if there is any from the community. With that, I turn things over to Mr. Kane.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is the fiscal year 2022 capital budget and 2023 to 2027 capital improvement program request that is for the Board of Education in October for approval. Next slide. So just to give you a picture of where we are in the process, the capital budget process begins with the approval of the Educational Facility Master Plan by the board in June. As Dr. Lockhart said, the CIP was initially presented to the board in September. We're at the public hearing stage, and then it comes back to the Board of Education for approval in October. The approved CIP request will then be submitted to both the county and the state funding authorities. And then that process really takes us all the way, beginning in the end of October, all the way through May, when the county adopts their budget. And at the same time, the state final approval of all state projects for school construction also occurs in May. And of course, it starts all over again next May and June. So it's a continuous cycle. Next slide. Just to give you an idea of the focus of this year's request, there's two major projects that make up the bulk of the request. It's the Career and Technology Center project, which is currently underway now. We are still asking for this state share of construction funding. We received some of it in fiscal year 2021, but the remaining installments will be part of the request for the next several years. We're also asking for money to do the East Middle replacement project. In addition to those, we have some building system replacement projects, some roof replacements, and some HVAC replacements. And there are 5 additions in the plan at elementary schools, 4 of which are kindergarten additions, and 1 is the best program addition at Robert Moten Elementary. Next slide. So changes from last year's CIP request. This year, East Middle School, the replacement project was included in the state request, so we are asking for state funding for this project. It's the 3rd priority project to the state. Career and Tech obviously is number 1 because it's underway. And then Winfield Roof from last year was moved up to number 2 priority in the state request because as you remember, the HVAC replacement project has been occurring, and due to work on the roof of replacing the rooftop units, the roof at Winfield is in dire need of replacement next summer. So we've moved that up just behind the Career and Tech project in the state request. Some roof and HVAC projects had to be deferred because we didn't receive funding for everything in last year's request, so they've been bumped out a year. Not that we're not going to continue to ask for those projects, but the timeline just gets bumped a year. Also, we moved Mount Airy Elementary and Liberty High's HVAC projects up in the schedule for the 6-year window. That's based on feedback from our maintenance department. Those schools, the systems are a higher priority than some than where they were last year. We also removed the Sykesville Middle electrical project. Again, that was based on feedback from our maintenance department. The issues that they have had in the past really have been resolved. A lot of it had to do with the number of computers that were being plugged in and the lack of outlets, but with the move to laptops over the years, it's become less of an issue. So, and the final change is that this year the William Winchester Modernization Feasibility Study replaced the Westminster High Feasibility Study in the 6-year CIP window. Last year, if you'll remember, William Winchester was a part of a possible K-8 solution for East Middle, but with the decision to go with just the replacement of East Middle, William Winchester then moves back to the third modernization priority behind Career and Tech and East Middle. So we've reinserted that into the 6-year window. Next slide. Just to give you an idea of the total amounts we're asking for, the request to the county for this year will be for $42,513,000. The bulk of which is the construction funding for the East Middle project. It's around $31.5 million just for the county share of that project. And then the request to the state is $28,504,000, which again, the bulk of that is the next installment of Career and Tech, the Career and Tech Center's funding, and also the construction funding for East Middle. So the total request for fiscal year 2022 in the capital budget is going to be $71,017,000. And then also to give you an idea of, the remaining 5 years of the 6-year plan, the future request to the county is a little over 72.5 million roughly, and then the request to the state over the next 5 years will be a little over 90 million. So for a total of roughly $163 million planned in the next 5 years for projects. Final slide. I think it's the final slide. So go ahead and click the next. Sorry, click the next one. Oh, back one. I have one more slide. Okay. This slide gives you an idea of the impact of this 6-year CIP request on the facilities condition index. As you know, one of the focus areas of Pillar 4 for the strategic plan is to maintain the FCI score for our facility inventory. The current 6-year request that has been presented to the board does maintain the FCI score and in some cases lowers it slightly through fiscal year 2025. Now, the chart before you shows that towards the end of the 6-year window, that score starts to climb again. And really that's due to, in the out years, there aren't the large projects like the Career and Tech project and the East Middle replacement project. So, gives you a picture of where we're headed if this 6-year CIP gets funded. Obviously, that's a discussion to be had with that FCI score creeping up towards the end of the 6-year window. But in the near term, in the next 4 years of that 6-year plan, it actually is maintained and does dip slightly. So that's a good thing. And that's all I had tonight. I think the next slide is the public comment period.
Well, Ms. Gaddis is checking. Thank you, Mr. Kane, for the overview. We're going to see if we have anybody here for public comment. Like I said, we are taking written comment, and that written comment period continues right up until the October board meeting, where the board will take back up the CIP and associated budget. So she's saying no, we don't. Ms. Gaddis, I was just reminding everyone that we will continue to take public comment and post that to our website. So if we receive any more written public comment, that can come all the way up to through the next meeting for feedback for the CIP.
And Dr. Lockhart, I don't recall seeing any written comments come through.
Ms. Gaddis, we'll check with you. Have you gotten any yet? We are getting a lot of email these days, and I'm trying to stay on top of that. So if we do get any, we will put those up there, and folks can see those under the capital improvement public hearing section on the website.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, the public hearing is concluded. We will be taking just a couple-minute break here from this meeting and picking back up with our board updates meeting in just a minute. So we're all going to leave this meeting and head into that one.
Thank you, Mr. Kane.
Thanks.